as a reference or to share it with somebody else that wasn't able to attend today. So our agenda is to share with you what our plans are to roll out the portal to all of you. What the main changes are between the employer portal and EPTR. We've got some folks from the agency with us today. Karen Simpson is here for you retirement coordinators. We've got folks from employer services and finance. Harris Kaplan's going to do a demo of the new employer portal. It's just meant as an overview so that you can kind of see what the differences are. We're then going to tell you what you need to do to be ready for this change, how you can get help, and what's going to come up next. So the general plan for rolling out the portal to all of you. We're planning to launch it to you on January 18th. So between now and then, we do have online training scheduled for you. We're going to do that 1 week before the week of the 18th. So you'll get more details about that. And right before we launch, you'll get specific instructions on what you need to do. And the day before we launch you, we're going to migrate all of your users and data to the new employer portal. On that launch day, you're going to get an email that will activate all of your current EPDR users so that they'll have access to the new employer portal. And at that time, you're going to stop using EPDR. So when you go into the new employer portal, you're going to set up any new users. You're going to set up the permissions for the users that you have. There's a payment feature in the new employer portal. You'll have to set up that banking info. You're going to start reporting all of your payroll and adjustments in the new employer portal, and you'll start paying your contribution invoices there. So it'll really be a switch from EPDR. You'll stop using it. You'll start using the employer portal from that day forward. So we're going to give you details about all of that stuff. We're going to start with what is in the new employer portal. So it's like EPDR, but it does other stuff. So we've enhanced the security. You will be able to then maintain all of your users and the roles that they have within the website, what they can do, what they can't do. So you'll have control over all of that in the new employer portal. You'll have the ability to update the contact information for all of your users, as well as folks that may not even be users. So for example, you could give us information about your CEO or your CFO, and we would have their contact information, and we could keep that up to date that way. The biggest change is you're going to be paying your contributions online. We'll show you how that works in this session today. You'll be able to see all of those invoices and payments in the portal. We have a new secure message feature that lets you send us questions securely and for us to respond instead of using email. The secure file upload feature will still be there. There's a new feature that'll allow you to upload member documents, member forms, driver's license, birth certificates, any of those kind of documents. You'll be able to upload those in the portal. There's an employer document feature for things like agreements and such. And there is an employer news feature so that when something new is happening, you'll see that on the home page. So I want to just drill in a little bit on what some of those key changes are. We are using a two-factor login process. So not only will you use your username and password, but then we're going to send you an email with a one-time passcode, and you'll use that every time you log in. As I said, you'll be able to set up all of your own users and what roles that they have within the website. You'll be able to maintain the banking info that you want to use for paying member contributions. Uh, One of the changes is we are separating payroll reports and adjustment reports. So right now you send us those two things together. We would like you to, in the employer portal, to report your adjustments separately, and we'll give you some more details on that this morning. When you submit a payroll report, and when we approve one of your adjustment reports, it's going to automatically create an invoice for you to pay. And you'll see a demonstration of that in a few minutes. All of those invoices get paid online. At this point, it's just these member contribution invoices that we have in the portal. Longer term, we're hoping that we can bring some of your other invoices that you pay into the portal as well, but that's not available in version 1. You'll be able to see the status of all your invoices and what you've paid and what you haven't paid. Again, secure messages is a good way for us to communicate back and forth in a secure way. And the secure upload of member documents. So those are the biggest differences between EPDR and the employer portal. Let's talk about payments for a minute. Just want to make sure everybody's getting in. Yep. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so you can see it a little bit better. All right. It's a little fuzzy, but I think you can get it. This is the new payment process in the employer portal. So once we launch the portal, one time you'll have to go up into the portal and set up the bank account that you would like us to withdraw your contribution payments out of. So you only have to do that one time. If you need to change it in the future, you can do it there. But you have to tell us what bank account you'd like us to withdraw your contribution payments from. From that point, every time that you submit a payroll or an adjustment report, it's going to create an invoice automatically for any of the contributions that are due. It's going to send an email notice to any of the users in the portal that you've given the payer role, so that they know that there's a new invoice there waiting to be paid. That payer goes onto the portal. You can see the invoice, you select it, you click a pay button, and that's pretty much all there is to pay an invoice on the portal. When you select, you will have the option of scheduling that payment. So let's say you've submitted your payroll report before your actual pay date. You can pick any date between the date that you submit your payroll report and the date that it's actually due for us to process that payment. We will automatically process that payment then. We will send that through our bank to your bank to withdraw those funds. We're going to assume our bank will tell us if any of those payments fail. If it does fail, we're going to send you an email that says, hey, there was a problem with the payment. Please resolve it and repay the invoice. If there if there are no payment issues, after 3 business days, we're going to post all of the records for that payroll report to the member accounts. All right. So this is a simplified payment process. It makes it easy for you to pay. It makes it easy for us to process and to post those records to the member account, and they get done more rapidly. So again, you can schedule the payment date anytime on or before your pay date. One of the things that we like about it is there's never a mismatch between what you're paying and what you reported, because we create the invoice for the data that you reported to us. We think it's easy for us and for you. The member data gets posted more quickly, and you get to see a history of all those invoices and payments. I want to mention we have revised the regulations to require this new payment process. There is a provision for any employer that, because of their governmental policies, can't use the ACH debit process. There is a waiver process for that. If you're granted a waiver, you have to pay by ACH credit. The employers that we have selected for this January 18th rollout, we selected you because you're already making payments by ACH debit. We're using a different process to do that. Our staff has to manually go to our bank website and process those transactions. This is a more automated solution, but we're assuming that all of you are already okay for us to process your payments by ACH debit. If that's not the case, please let us know as soon as possible so that we can do something about that. All right. So as I mentioned, we believe all of you are already using ACH debit. This new method is slightly different. One of the differences is the company ID that's used in that ACH debit transaction is different. So we are going to share with you later today the banking information that includes that new company ID, so that you can talk to your bank and make sure that they're going to authorize those transactions starting on or after January 18th. So whoever you have told us are your employer portal administrators and or your retirement coordinators, will send out an email that contains that banking information so that you can start having those conversations with your bank. It's one of the things that will help this transition process go smoother if you can pre-authorize those changes with your bank before we make the change. All right, this is a break for questions. Before the meeting started, I muted everybody. If you've got a question, you can unmute yourself, or you can simply type your questions in the meeting chat window, whichever you prefer.
Well, I don't see anything in the chat, by the way.
All right, thank you. All right, we all good? Okay, I'm going to move on. All right, let's talk about adjustments. So as I said, on the employer portal, we are asking you to separate your adjustments from your regular payroll data. So on the new employer portal, you'll see this in a minute in the demonstration. You have the ability to submit payroll reports. That's your regular payroll data, and adjustment reports. So anything that is from a prior pay period or is additional contributions needs to go into an adjustment report separately. One of the things about the adjustment report is there are no deadlines, no time deadlines. So you can submit a 714 whenever you need to, okay? It's not associated with the timeline for your payroll reporting, all right? So now they're going to be two completely separate things. There are not, because there's no deadline, there are no penalties and interest associated with adjustment reports. So the way that this works is you're going to continue to use the 714 form/file. There is on the employer portal, there's a template that we would prefer that you use. The 714 does have to be an Excel file. So even if you don't use our template, you need to give it to us in an Excel spreadsheet. All right. For version 1, submitting adjustments this way is optional. You can continue to submit 714s by other methods. This is absolutely the preferred method, though. You'll get a history of it. You can pay it online. It's easier for us to process. So if you use this method, it's going to work out better for all of us and the members, we think. So here's how it works. You upload that 714 file to the employer portal. So there's a specific place on the portal for adjustment reports. You do that upload. There's a little data entry screen that, assuming that your adjustment includes changes to contributions, you have to summarize that for us by system. We use that information to create the invoice. All right. So you upload the file, you summarize the contributions by system, you submit that. Our staff has to take a look at that. So it's not going to automatically process immediately. Our staff will take a look at it. If there's an issue, you get an email that says, hey, there was a problem with your 714, please fix it and resubmit it. Otherwise, if we approve it, depending on what kind of contributions there are in the 714, determines what happens next. If you owe us contributions, we're going to automatically create an invoice based on the contributions that you summarized for us. And we're going to send an invoice to your payer user saying, hey, we've got an adjustment invoice that's ready for you to pay. The way that you pay the payroll invoices and the adjustment invoices are exactly the same. There's just a list of invoices and you select what you want to pay. If there are no contributions on that 714, then we're just going to post those adjustments to the member account. If there are contributions due back to you, we're going to immediately process a credit invoice to you, and that's going to immediately hit your bank account, or at least, it's like an overnight process. But if we owe you contributions, we're going to immediately credit your bank account that you have on file for those contribution credits. Okay. Make sure I hit all the bullets over here. Yep. So that's the new adjustment reporting process. So the main thing to understand here is it's separate from your payroll reports. It has to be an Excel file. All right. I think we are now ready for our demo. You're going to see basically all of the features that are currently on the employer portal. You see them listed here. We have come to the end of a beta testing period. So we worked with 10 participating governmental unit employers to help us beta test the software. They are actually using it to submit their payroll reports, their adjustment reports, and to do all of these things. So you are not the guinea pigs. They volunteered to be our guinea pigs. We think we've worked out all of the major issues. We've got a couple of small feature updates that we want to do between now and January 18th. But what you see today is what's being used by those 10 employers to process their payroll and adjustments every pay period. So with that, I'm going to hand it over to Harris Kaplan, and he's going to do our demo for us this morning.
Thank you, Will, and good morning, everyone. Pull my screen up here. So I'm going to walk you through a little bit of the site this morning. We will have a training as we get closer to your actual rollout. So this is kind of just a preview, and then we'll do a more detailed training for you as we get closer. So I will go ahead and log in. The first thing I'm going to tell you that I'm in a test environment. Things may be a little bit slower because I'm in a test environment. We're still doing some tweaking and development. So some of the things that I'm showing you right now are things that are currently in development, but that's a site that we have as our test site. So I just want to let you know that. Go ahead and log in. The first thing that you will see is when I go ahead, I even got my password wrong. When I log in, it's going to start the multi-factor authentication. I'm going to stop talking for a second so I can actually get my password correct. All right, so instead of it taking me right into the site, it's asking for a one-time passcode. This will be sent to your email address, so I'll go ahead and have it sent over to my email. This helps with the security of the site, so if somebody had access to your email, or if somebody had your email and your password, they would still actually need to get into your email to get it, so it gives us a little extra layer of security there. to get into the site. So you start to see multi-factor is more of a mainstream now than it has been, and most sites are at least have it or are moving towards that. All right, so there's two things on our landing page. You're not seeing both of them right now, but I'm going to tell you what we have. Over here is the news section. This is where we can post news articles to you that we write. Things could be like, we just released the following features, and let you know what those features are. They could be things like, we're coming to the end of the fiscal year. Please make sure that you clear up these particular items. Karen may post something for retirement coordinators. So the news articles, we can actually also, with that, target our audience. So if it's something that Karen Simpson needs to send to our retirement coordinators only, we can actually have it go to anybody who's in that role. So that's what the news articles are. This blank area over here is for our secure messaging. You're not seeing the secure messaging in here right now, just because we actually have it turned off in our test environment, just because it has a little bit of clutter. It is working. We're getting it from our members, but you would see secure messaging over here. The next thing that I will walk you through is our profile section. So under the profile section here, you can edit and change your information, add a phone number, change my password, anything that needed to be changed over here, I can do. Also well, that's my account. Let me go to the profiles here. So under the profile section here, I have managing users. So again, I'm in a test environment, and I will tell you that, give me 1 second. Let me just take this screen, move it over here. Okay. I'm signed in under Allegheny College of Maryland right now. It's just because they were the top of the alphabet. That's the only reason I chose them. There's no really other special reason other than that. So here I can manage my users, and so we sent out an email to you earlier this week to say, hey, we need 2 admin users. So those admin users can have some additional functionality. If you're not an admin user, you won't be able to edit or delete any of these accounts. But I could go in here and I could edit this account, and I can say, hey, he changed jobs, and instead of doing payroll and payments, he no longer does payments, but submits deduction files. And I can make those changes, okay? And if you see, there's 2 different, we have user roles and contacts. Some of these will default based off of what you select up here. What that means is that you can have somebody like your CEO that we just want contact information on. They won't be an EP user, but we can get their contact information, and that is very helpful. So going back to the contents, I can add a user. Okay, so if I wanted to add Karen Simpson, okay, and I can add Karen's information. Yes, she'll be a user. She would have the role of retirement coordinator, and I can click create. Okay, very simple to update and edit your users. And the admins, that's your goal, that's your responsibility for making sure that information is updated. So you can see that Karen was added down here. The next thing that happens for Karen is she gets an email saying, please go ahead and activate your account. She activates her account and she moves on. The next thing is your organization or view your organization info. This is just information about your organization. It's just us showing you. If you find something wrong, let us know. But this is just, what we currently have on file, so you can see that information. One of the first things that you're going to do once you log into the system is setting up your bank account information. All right. We need to have the bank account information set up before you can pay any invoices. So that's like one of the key things. The first thing, get your user set up, get your bank account information set up. It's very simple. It's just a routing number, the account number twice, the name will auto-populate, and that's it. There's nothing really special, unique about adding the banking information. It's as simple as you can get. All right, let's move along to payroll. So under payroll, you see two different sections, payroll reports and adjustment reports. So I'll go to payroll. You're going to notice if you're currently an EPDR user, this looks extremely similar to for you. We did not make any overarching changes here. We did obviously make the changes so that it looks in the same color scheme, etc., as the rest of the site. Change the platform a little bit so it works faster, etc. But everything else is very much the same. So if I want to import a file to start my payroll, select. I'll grab my test file here. Click upload. It's going to go through the validations that we have. We have updated the validations to make sure that they are current. Again, same thing as what EPDR does. It will error records. So there's something wrong with this record. I can hover over, say invalid salary information. Okay, I can edit it. Yeah, well, this was 0. Obviously, that's can't be 0 and this 0, so I can correct it. And save. It's no longer an error. A warning, these are just things that we want you to look at. Contribution discrepancies. We will be making a change to how the address change is being shown here. And then down here, you can see, again, what those warnings and total records are. So I can filter it just to say, show me the salary and contribution ones, etc. Once you've cleared out all the errors, you can go ahead and submit the file. So I submit this. It submitted the file. I can see my data was submitted. What's going to happen at this point is it now moves to the second phase of this, which is actually paying the invoice for this payroll. So once I submit the payroll, it creates an invoice. If you are a payroll user, if you're a payment user, if you're a payment user, you're going to get an email saying, hey, a new invoice was created. It's probably going to get hidden. Here's a new invoice. So this is the one that I just created. Here's my new invoice. I can click here to log in. Shows me all that information. If I go to invoices, I will then see the invoice here. Okay, this is the one that I just submitted as of today. So we will come back to that in just a second. So everything else works the same. You can edit a record, add a record, all that works exactly the same. So let's go to the invoices. So here I can view the invoice. All right, gives me a breakdown of my different systems. Now, obviously the payroll that I submitted was for 7/31. This is a stated data was the first one that I had in there. So obviously I'm going to have penalties and interest because it's late. All right. You guys are a good group. You're going to stay on top of it. You're not going to have penalties and interest, but I'm showing you that this will automatically calculate that so that this will be the total amount that I'm paying. And because it's past due, it's going to show up in my past due rather than my due tab. So to pay it, just check the ones that I'm going to pay, and I would click pay. It's going to ask me to confirm. I confirm. Everything that you're doing here, we can monitor on our end so we actually know what's going on. It no longer shows in the unpaid payments. It will then move to my initiated payments. So here's my one that's initiated. So you can see that there's things that are old here. That's just because we're not actually sending this stuff to the bank. We're testing it. We're not actually getting these monies. And that's why you see more here and nothing over in the payment because we're not connecting everything in the test environment. All right. The next thing is adjustments. So we know that from time to time you do have adjustments to do. So we do have our template here that you can download. Okay, it's similar to what you guys already seen. Nothing really has changed there. But this is the Excel file for you to use. So when you're submitting adjustments, we need this to be broken down a little bit. What we're looking at is, are all the adjustments that you're submitting to us either a positive or zero contribution? There's nothing, you're just changing the hours, would be a zero contribution. Or is everything you're submitting a negative contribution? We can't mix the positive and negatives because it's going to not play very nicely with our invoice there. All right. So if it's a positive, have you withheld the contributions, or if you've not withheld the contributions? If you've already withheld the contributions, those should all be grouped together. If you have not withheld the contributions, then we know we have to bill the member. So we're asking you to group those things together. And we will go over in a lot more detail in this when we do our official training, just kind of showing you a little bit of what we have here. So I can say everything was withheld. It was for the employee system for 1,500. Select my file. Here's my Excel file. And then click submit. And I've submitted the adjustment. All right, now you'll see over here, what's the status? Is it approved? Is it rejected? This one's pending, which means we're now in the position, State Retirement Agency is now in the position to start reviewing that file. And once we review it, we get that back to you, either an approved or rejected, hopefully, obviously approved. Once it's approved, an invoice is created. You can see these are adjustments that were approved, and I would be able to pay those invoices so I can get those adjustments moved over. So any questions up to this point? Is there anything in the chat there, Will?
I do not have anything in the chat.
Okay. So the next thing is that that we'll look at is documents. So a couple different documents here. We have employer documents. So these are things that we have as documents that are important for us to show to you. And really nothing else. So these may be like compliance audit reports that we want to have a copy on your record. You'll be able to see them as well. It's just a view of those documents. The next one is member document upload. So this is a new feature that we rolled out with this version. So member document upload allows for you to upload all member documents to us. The enrollment forms, disability forms, approved leave of absence forms. Okay, whatever it is that you normally send to us, this is the method that we want it set. The member document upload is the most efficient. It's the most secure way to get us that information. It's the most reliable way. All right. And it's far sufficient than other methods of getting us documents. And here's a couple reasons why. First off, when you upload the document to us, what happens is it goes directly to our office services division, who then takes those records and images it to that individual member's record, and then it electronically delivers it to all of our departments. Meaning that within 24 hours, we can see that we got those documents in that member's account. If you send it by mail, obviously it can get lost in the mail. Obviously, it could be a delay there. If you send it by email, you're sending it to one person. If that one person's on vacation, we may not get it in time. Or if you send it to a group email, then everybody may be wondering who's going to handle it. It's not me, you do it, etc. This is the direct path to get it in. The other thing we do here is we have a software called Abby that has character recognition. We can read the barcode on the form and say, based off that barcode, I know it's a Form 1. I know based off of that I need to look in a specific place to pull up the member's social security number and their name. And based off of that, I can make the process of indexing into a member's record extremely efficient and effective. So with that, fax is not the best quality. So if we get faxes in, the barcodes do not look very good. The quality is not very good. It makes it more difficult for our Abby software and to read it, which takes more time. So again, this is the most efficient, effective way to get us those member documents. So to do that, click Select Files. I will go to, give me 1 second. So I can say, you know what, send me these 3 documents, submit files.
Yes, you do have a question. It's about adjustments.
Okay, I'll come back to it. Thank you, Karen.
Payroll file.
Okay, so we got the upload successful. We've gotten it, and then this will be a new feature. This is still in our test version, but we're hopefully we get this rolled out before your wave starts, where I can actually see a history of the files that were uploaded. You can see that these were the ones that I done today. Okay. So any questions on this? So let me take a look at the one question that you had, Karen. All right, so to be clear, all changes in hours less than the standard 80 hours need to be done in the adjustment report separately. So you can take, let's say that you have 10 employers that the only adjustments that they had were their hours. You can group all of those in one report to us because they're all similar. So what we're saying is we need all of these similar adjustments reported in one type of report. What we don't want is you reporting just hours changes, and then one employer you submitted payroll form, but they didn't actually work, so you have a -1. We will want those separated. It makes it a little bit easier in our staff to actually process it.
And yes, those are adjustment reports, not payroll reports.
Yeah, adjustment reports, correct. And then there's another question where you continue the clone payroll feature. Yes, I just didn't demo it, but it works the same. If you want me to demo it, I can, but it works exactly the same way that you're currently doing it. Okay. So that is our documents. The next is uploads. So these are the other type of files, the wages, the recertification. So I know everybody's probably working on their wage files. You can use this to do your wage files. And again, it works the same way that you're currently doing it. I'm not really going to demo it because it's the same. Just know that it is here. All of that is exactly the same. All right. Same thing with pay schedules. We really didn't make any changes to pay schedules. The way that you did them in the past will be the same way. So you'll be doing those probably in March, April time frame. No changes there for this round of software. You can, again, view these the same way. This will all look familiar as what we're currently doing in the employer portal. So that is the demo. There's also a help. So let me just show you the help. So in the help, we have several different videos. We also have some quick guides. So the warning on the videos, it's me that did it. So if you got tired of my voice today, I'm just going to apologize ahead of time. I did the voice and created those videos too. Take a day off and listen to me now. Do it when you come back after winter break or the holidays and watch those videos. I think once you log in, if you have any questions, those videos are going to be really helpful. So actually, they won't be available until you actually get into the site, but they will help you. In doing that, I think we have a couple more that we'll wind up adding on here. But please use the help. They're here for you, and I think that you will find them very useful. So that is my demo. Are there any other questions on the demo before I turn it back over to Will? Okay. Well, I turn it back over to you.
All right. Thank you, Harris. All right. We're also just going to give you a quick update on some other changes to the employer portal that we've got on our own schedules here. We are going to start working on version 2 of the employer portal at the beginning after New Year's. And the focus of that is going to be on a better way to do adjustments. So we've obviously made some changes in version 1 on how we do adjustments. The goal in version 2 is to really completely automate that process. So we'll get rid of the 714s. We'll give you a new file format that we'd like you to use. If you're a large employer, you'll probably want to use that file format. If you're a smaller employer, you'll probably want to use something like what we're doing on the payroll reports. It's not a cloning feature because you don't clone your adjustments from one pay period to the next, but you'll have a place where you can data enter in the adjustment without having to submit a file, all right? But the idea is to capture in that file and on that screen excuse me, all the details that we need to process those adjustments without our staff having to do a lot of review, without you having to break up into 4 different files. So the goal here is to make it easier for you to report and easier for us to process those adjustments. One of the things that we are going to try to do when we do this is if you say, let's say you have a retroactive adjustment to salary for several months. If you give us the start date and the end date, and if you want us to just take that salary adjustment and apply it equally to each pay period, we'll do that for you. All right. So that's one example of by doing a process that's a little more automated, it'll make it easier for you and for us. Okay, so we're going to start working on that right after the new year. We've shared already with all the employers a draft of that adjustment reporting manual in that file specification. We've got a couple of small tweaks to make to that. We'll publish the new reporting manual after the first of the year. We'll start doing software development on our side. You can start doing software development on your side if you want to use the file instead of the data entry screen. And my guess right now is we would be looking at rolling that out maybe in the June timeframe. So, you've seen what version 1 looks like. Version 2 is going to be focused on that new adjustment reporting process. We also have plans for a version 3. That would include a new payroll reporting file format. So if we didn't make it clear, version 1 does not change your file format at all for payroll reporting. All right. Version 3, we're looking at making some changes to that. We're looking at creating a new roster file that you can use to tell us about the employees that you hire and terminate and put on leave and so on. And we would use that roster file to have a new automated enrollment process where we would use that roster file to enroll your members, and we would send them an invitation to complete the enrollment process on our MySRPS secure member website. No specific timing on version 3 other than when we finish version 2, we would start to look at version 3. The feedback that we've gotten from all of you is, hey, if you're going to change the reporting file format, you need to give us a lot of lead time. So we certainly intend to do that. Any other new questions before we move on? Harris, we have anything in the chat?
Yeah, nothing else.
Okay. So Harris demonstrated the payroll reporting process of the employer portal. As you can see, it's almost identical to the way that you report payroll now. We have added a few new ways that we validate the payroll file that you submit to us. One is that because the invoice that we create has a due date on it, that due date is based on your pay date in your pay schedule. So your payroll report can only have one combination of payroll period, end date, and pay date. The employers that we selected for this rollout on January 18th, we believe your pay schedule, you typically only have one payroll period, end date, and pay date. You don't have multiple payroll schedules. The exception is Frederick County Public Schools. We've been working on you to handle that more complex scenario. We think we're now ready to have you start using the employer portal on the 18th. But the rest of you, we think typically you only would have one pay period, end date, and pay date. We're just telling you the employer portal will look for that when you submit your file. And if you've tried to combine more than one pay date, more than one pay period, end date, it's not going to let you do that. All right. But it should not be an issue for the group of employers that we're rolling this out to in January. All right. Also, it's looking to make sure that you have not put any prior payroll periods or excess contributions into your payroll report, because we're asking you to do those separately in an adjustment report. So if it looks at your payroll file and sees prior payroll periods, it's not going to accept that payroll report. You'll need to separate those prior periods out into a separate adjustment report. All right. As Harris showed you, when you submit your adjustment reports, it's asking you questions about what is going to be in that specific adjustment report. Based on whether you've selected a report that's first thing we ask you is are these positive or negative contributions? Depending on your answer, it's going to ask you to confirm that your file only contains records for the current fiscal year or the prior fiscal year. All right. Similarly, depending on whether you chose positive or negative, it's going to ask you whether you withheld those contributions or not. And that just helps us figure out how those contributions are going to be paid. Are you going to pay for it, or are we going to bill those members? All right. So when you create those adjustment reports, depending on whether it's positive or negative, you may need to separate that into a separate report again, because we don't allow these other combinations. All right. What are we asking you to do to get ready for this change? So we need to know 2 of your employees that will act as your employer portal administrators. The people that are your employer portal administrators have the ability and responsibility to add and remove your users from the portal and to define what roles those users should have. So that's a new thing. We need to know for you what 2 people are going to play that role. So we've already got most of your designations. If you haven't done that already, please let us know who those folks are going to be for you so that we can get them set up. If we don't think any of you are going to need to make changes to your payroll file, you should already be giving us files that only contain 1 payroll period and 1 pay date. But if you're combining right now your adjustments and payroll records together, you'll need to make sure that starting on January 18th, that those 2 files are going to be separate, and that specifically your payroll file doesn't contain records from any prior payroll periods. If you want to, if you've got something going on that creates those adjustment records for you, you might want to start looking at having it create that in a Microsoft Excel file format that we can accept. So take a look at that. You've got, basically 30 days to make any of those changes that you think you might want to. I'm going to send out the banking, the SRA banking info to anybody that was designated as an employer portal administrator. I'm going to do that this afternoon so that you can have a conversation with your bank to make sure that they're going to authorize those transactions when we start sending them to your bank in January. All right. If you've got follow-up questions that come up between today and January 18th, absolutely reach out to us and we'll do everything we can to resolve your questions and issues. We know that the wage file reporting requirement is coming up. Make sure that you have a plan for whether you're going to submit that file in EPDR or on the employer portal. All right. If you want to do it before January 18th, you're going to do that on EPDR. If you want to do it after the 18th, you're going to do that on the employer portal. It works basically the same way. Just make sure that you've kind of figured out when you plan to submit that wage file and make sure that you've got those users set up in either EPDR or EP to do that. So that's between now and launch. On the launch date, we're asking you to set up those users and bank account info. You're going to start using the employer portal to upload, submit, and pay your payroll and adjustment reports. We'd like you to start using the secure message feature to communicate with us. Use the help page resources that Harris showed you. Use the member document upload feature to get forms and documents to us. If you've got an issue, let us know and we'll get it resolved as quickly as we can. So what's coming up next is you can start working on any changes to your files or processes based on what we shared with you this morning. please talk to your bank. The week before we launch, we'll have an online training opportunity. So we'll go into more detail about some of the things that Harris demonstrated with you today. So you'll have one other opportunity to get in there and see how this works. And then the Friday before the launch, so the 17th, Monday the 17th is a holiday. On Friday the 14th, we'll send you out specific email instructions on how your users will access the employer portal, the time of day that it'll be available, the links you need to go to, and the specific instructions that you'll need to access the portal. All right, so how do you get help? We are recording this session today. We are preparing to make a place on the SRA website where these materials will be made available. So we'll send out an email on Monday or Tuesday to all of you, letting you know how you can get copies of these slides. I'll actually email out copies of these slides here in a few minutes, but we'll also post them on the website. The recording probably won't be available until Monday or Tuesday, so you'll get an email with that information as well. There is you've seen the help page on the portal, so once you actually start using the portal, that's a great place to get information. That help page includes how can you contact us. The secure message is a great way to contact us for help. You can also call us on normal business days at this number. That's the information that we wanted to share with all of you today. This is the final opportunity for you to ask us any questions that you've got. Looks like we might have something in the meeting chat. Looks like Harris has been answering some questions in there. All right. Let's see. All right. Harris is.
So there's one. I'll have to reach out to University Park. I just need to check our records, and it's a little. And then Sandy, we can also reach out directly to you for City of Salisbury to go over if we think there are going to be any issues. I don't think there's going to be, but we can also have a more direct contact with you. Okay.
All right. So for anybody that has not designated their employer portal administrators, we'll be doing some follow-up activities with you on Monday, just to make sure that we've got those folks set up and that we can continue to communicate with you between now and the launch date. Any other questions this morning? All right, we appreciate your time. We think this new software is going to make things better for all of you, all of us here at SRA, but ultimately this also is going to help our shared customer, the employees, because some of these things help things work better for them. For example, member records getting posted more quickly. I think there's some data quality improvements in here. So I think there are some efficiencies in version 1 that actually end up benefiting the membership. All right. You're going to see some emails from me this afternoon with banking info. Other than that, you probably won't hear from us again until it's time for training, but certainly reach out to us between now and then with any questions or issues that you have. Happy holidays.